This is the story of Lucia and Mario, an Italian couple who loved India. They traveled to India quite often, probably once a year at least. They loved its cultural beauty and architectural wonders, and the food, of course. And over here, they were friends with an Indian family, Sumer Singh and his wife Anokha, and of course, the seven lovely children. It was always amazing to have the Italian couple over, and Sumer Singh would always drive them around.
आपका यहाँ पे ड्राइविंग बहुत अच्छा है। इटली में इतना अच्छा नहीं है।
वो क्या है ना मैडम, आपको इटली में अमीरों की गाड़ी मिलेगी, यहाँ पे आपको लोगों के दिलों में अमीरी मिलेगी। इसलिए इटली में क्या है ना, रोड वहाँ का बहुत झकास है, तो लोग वहाँ पे जो गाड़ी है वो एकदम तेजी में उड़ाते हैं। अपने इधर क्या है कि रोड बहुत खराब है, गड्ढा रहता है, इसलिए लोग सावधानी से चलाते हैं।
However, all the happiness came to a tragic pause when Sumer Singh met with an accident. His widow was inconsolable. How was she going to take care of all these kids by herself?
I understand this is a very troubled situation and time for you, and your husband was like a brother to Marco and myself. We love baby Alka so much, and we would love to adopt her. We promise we can give her a happy life full of love and care, and we hope that it reduces the burden on you and takes away some of your suffering.
If it means my child will have a better life, then I would agree to that. You would indeed take good care of her. Yes, I agree.
The Italian couple offered to adopt their youngest daughter, Alka, baby Alka, the light of their lives. And Anokha ji knew that this was the only way her daughter would be able to have a better life. And hence, she voluntarily agreed as the biological mother for this adoption.
My lord, the biological mother of this child has given her full consent to this adoption, and the Italian couple is financially and emotionally stable. All the documents for the same have been uploaded.
But from what I see, you have not followed the guidelines for the adoption. Because there's no recognized agency involved in the case, and you know that is paramount. Where is the CARA guidelines being followed? So I cannot authorize this adoption.
What is Cara?
I don't know.
Petition rejected.
Mamma mia!
The facts of the case are as follows. The parties involved are Smriti Anokha, the biological mother, and an Italian couple that was known to the family. Smriti Anokha's husband, Sumer Singh, a taxi driver, tragically died in an accident while serving the Italian couple. Trusted by the family, offered to adopt baby Alka Singh, the youngest of 6 daughters, to provide her a better future. Smriti Anokha voluntarily consented to the adoption, considering her unstable financial and emotional condition. The couple filed a guardianship applications under Section 7, 10 and 17 of the Guardians of Walls Act 1890, providing complete documentation on their financial stability and good character. However, despite full documentation and parental consent, both the District Court and the High Court rejected the application, citing non-compliance with adoption guidelines.
And now we understand the CARA guidelines and why the High Court rejected the adoption plea in this case. First, we have to talk about what were the key legal issues identified in this case. First being whether the guidelines for adoption of Indian children applied in a case that involved direct consent from the biological parent to a known foreign couple. And secondly, whether the rejection was solely based on non-compliance with CARA guidelines and whether it was justified when the child's best interests and parental consent were clearly laid out. And third, whether the adoption met the requirements under the Guardians and Wards Act 1890. So now we understand the role of CARA guidelines. So basically, stemming from the case Lakshmikant Pandey versus Union of India, CARA guidelines have been key in regulating inter-country adoptions to prevent child trafficking, which was the main reason why these guidelines were introduced. So these guidelines mandated that adoptions must be routed through a government recognized agency which would be involved in every adoption, and a no objection certificate from such an agency was necessary, and that was basically what was put under the CARA guidelines. The High Court rejected this particular case for adoption because it emphasized on the strict compliance and found that there was a lack of NOC because there was no recognized adoption agency involved in this particular case. So it prioritized procedural compliance over parental autonomy, and the specific facts of this unique case involved a direct placement and long-standing trust between the biological mother and the couple who was going to adopt. So there was this question raised whether we should fundamentally, stick to the guidelines that are laid out, or take it on a case-to-case basis when there's direct parental consent involved with a known foreign couple.
My lord, the child's welfare should not be sacrificed at the altar of rigid technicalities. The biological mother voluntarily consented. These guidelines were designed to prevent trafficking, not genuine cases like this.
I understand. In this case, I do agree. Child welfare is indeed paramount, and this adoption should be allowed because the biological mother is well aware of the case and the facts related to it and has agreed to the adoption. Hence, this court permits the adoption but subject to some guidelines.
Much obliged, my lord.
Adoption in India provides numerous opportunities for children to move across the world. However, the adoption process in India is a huge battle with complex legal complexities. A landmark judgment in this order was Anokha versus the state of Rajasthan, in which the court emphasized on the fact that certain procedural complications need not be necessary when the biological parents have assented and given their full consent to parents from different countries to adopt their child without the legal requirements. The Supreme Court followed a child-centric approach where they said that the children's interests are to be considered over the formal legal process in certain cases. It also emphasized on the need to recognize parental autonomy, in which cases parents gave their consent validly without any coercion. It also ensured that there are unique circumstances which prevail over certain guidelines like the CARA guidelines, which have been set in place for institutional adoption instead of voluntary adoption between trusted individuals.
Finally, after years of penance, Alka's adoption was finally complete, and she was taken to Italy with her new adoptive family. And one such day, Marco wanted to take out his daughter to get a fine Italian meal, and this happens.
हम क्या खाने वाले हैं? Like, what are we gonna eat?
We are going to eat really good pasta.
मुझे पास्ता पसंद नहीं है. I don't like Italian food.
Then what do you want?
Let me show you.
One eternity later.
Dosa, idli, sambar,
I need my
chutney,
dosa
chutney.
and idli
Dosa,
with sambar and
idli,
chutney.
sambar, chutney,
I spent
chutney.
5
தேடி
years
பிடிச்ச
trying to talk
ஹோட்டல்ல
to you, only for
வாயின
this?
வந்த பார்சல்ல நல்ல ஹோட்டல் தெரியல வாயின வந்தது சரியில்லை